Hi, everyone. It's Lindsay with High Altitude Astrology, checking in with you. Today is November 8th, and I wanted to take a look at some of the planetary aspects that we've been working with this week, leading up to the full moon coming up on Tuesday, November 12th. And if many of you have been feeling a lot of heavier energies, shifting energies, we're definitely in it. Of course, we're in Scorpio season. As you can see here, the sun at 16 degrees of Scorpio today. We also have Mercury in Scorpio retrograding at 22 degrees. And the Mercury retrograde started on Halloween, and it's going to continue until, I believe, around November 20th, when it will turn direct at 11 degrees of Scorpio. And then, of course, it still has some time as it moves through its shadow period, which is the area that it went retrograde in. So, for example, it went retrograde on October 31st at 27 degrees of Scorpio. So even though it comes direct at 11 degrees of Scorpio on the 20th of November, we still have until December 27th, December 7th, until Mercury comes out of its shadow and really kind of clears this whole Mercury retrograde cycle. But some of the things, we may be experiencing with this retrograde cycle in Mercury in Scorpio is a real deepening of our communication with others. Scorpio has that desire to penetrate and to look deeply and to uncover and to expose. So it wants to get to the bottom of things. So that's really sort of the overall feeling of this Mercury in Scorpio. Of course, it's going to have those little snafus of, getting appointment times wrong, or, not remembering that your, local shop is closed on a certain day, or whatever it is. But the theme of this Mercury in Scorpio retrograde really has to do with really kind of getting vulnerable and exposing our deeper selves in our communication with our intimate partnerships and important relationships, and working to really get to the bottom of things that need to be discussed. And sometimes this can lead to change, because Scorpio energy is all about transformation. Other times it could just lead to getting really kind of clear and honest with people in a way that we haven't been able to before. But that's what this Mercury in Scorpio retrograde period time is all about, is kind of touching base with those things that need to be brought to the surface, essentially. And what's going to happen coming up just before the new moon, which again is on November 12th, which is next Tuesday, which is at 19 degrees of Taurus, by the way. I said new moon, I meant full moon. Mercury retrograde. See, we can blame Mercury retrograde on any communicative mistake we make during this time. And what's happening just before that full moon is that the sun and Mercury are going to meet. So Mercury, if you look at the chart here, in its retrograde, in just a few days is going to conjunct or be right in the same place as that sun in Scorpio. And so I would sense that this is going to be an important day of communication, because the sun is all about our light, our solar expression, our spirit, our power, how we shine out into the world. So Mercury's been going through this Scorpio retrograde time, and it's, gathering information and reviewing things and, uncovering things and getting to the bottom of things. But then it's going to meet with the sun on November 11th. And together they're going to communicate, and Mercury's going to share its information with the sun, and then the sun then projects it out into the world. So the sun then becomes the focal point for all this information getting brought out. So it could be a day of more revelation, of really or just really personally kind of coming to some conclusions, personally kind of getting a complete full picture or understanding of what it is we're really needing to learn about during this Mercury retrograde time. And another thing that's coming to me about this retrograde is, it's really a time of figuring out like what it is we really want, because that is part of Scorpio energy. Scorpio is driven by Mars and Pluto. These are two planets that really deal with desire and passion and action. So there's a theme within the Scorpio theme of Mercury retrograde that has to do with touching, getting in touch with what do we desire, and Scorpio is very good at kind of like eliminating and cutting and letting go and transforming, but there's an ability for Scorpio to really kind of make the cut, to slice or amputate what is not desirable. So whether that's partnerships, or whether that's pursuits, or even it could be our own patterns, our addictions, that's very Scorpionic, our obsessions, our addictions, our compulsions, what drives us unconsciously. So, this Scorpio, Mercury retrograde Scorpio time is also helping us to get in touch with those aspects of ourselves and help us to really, assist us in making the changes that we may need to be making. So Mercury and the Sun meeting next Tuesday, something to kind of keep our minds open about and see what comes to the fore at that time. I will be doing a full moon video, so I'm not going to go into the full moon, but I want to back up a little bit and talk about on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, the 5th of November, Mars and Pluto squared. This was at 3:23 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And Mars has been in the sign of Libra. If you see here on the chart, Mars at 23 degrees, it's heading towards the end of Libra. And we will see it pass out of Libra on the 18th of November into the sign of Scorpio, hence more Scorpio energy. But we also have, by the way, Venus, which has moved out of Scorpio recently. That was at the very beginning of November on the 1st, and it's now in the sign of Sag. And Venus is all about our relationships and our loving energy and our creativity. And Sag is the archer shooting the arrow into the unknown, wanting to expand our horizons and the perspective of those around us. So it's nice to have Venus and Sag. I think it's helping us at this time with all this heavier Scorpionic energy to elevate our connection to possibility and to really kind of broaden our perspective as we seek, social connections and loving relationship connections and our tastes and our pleasures. This is all Venusian stuff. And in Sag, it's just saying, hey, let's be inspired and let's connect with what really, brings us pleasure and what really fulfills our tastes. So that's kind of a neat place for Venus right now. And the reason I'm bringing that up was just to point out that through this sort of heavier Scorpionic time, there is a little bit of like uplifted Venusian, energy helping us really kind of steer our way towards more personal satisfaction. And what I wanted to mention was that Mars had squared Pluto on the 5th of November. And one thing I've been hearing about is people have been kind of dealing with relationship issues. Now, like I said, Mars has been in Libra, so it's moving through the relationship sign. Action, how we assert ourselves in the relationship sign. But it was squaring Pluto, transformation, death and regeneration, power and control issues. Now, both Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio. And these two powerhouses were in a square, squaring off. Squares denote challenges and they require some sort of action. And I've been hearing from people, that it's really been kind of some challenges in relationship, because Mars and Libra, it's a little like, I'm going to use a quote from somebody in my life right now, like a bull in a china shop, it's like Mars, go, action. And Libra's like, but we want balance and harmony and fairness. But Mars is like, it has a hard time kind of wearing that costume, so to speak, because it doesn't have the finesse that, Libra requires. So there has been a lot of relationship stuff that has been up this week. And with the square to Pluto, these are both energies that deal with desire and passion and action and control, but they're squaring off. They're trying to figure out how to work together, and squares always require some sort of action, so it's really, and Pluto in Capricorn, transformation in like patience, but really doing the work and making the effort, and doing it in a way that transformation in a way that aligns with our personal authority. It's very kind of, you can see sort of a tricky dynamic that these two have been creating. And I think it does relate to some of these relationship endings that maybe have been going on at this time, but at the same time, it doesn't have to mean endings, but it's definitely some sort of restructuring, some sort of power dynamic or control, issues coming to the surface, and how we wield power and control in relationship, Libra, with others, and are we being manipulative? Are we doing it like, somebody told me once that I had a mannerism about myself. It was sort of like they called it an iron fist with a velvet glove, like I can feel Mars and Libra being like that, because Libra's like harmony and balance and wanting to be fair, but Mars is like, but I want my way, so a little bit of like, subversive ways of trying to go about kill them with kindness, getting our way. But Pluto's like, we're not having that, like, it can smell control and power plays, all over the place. And it's about, really confronting that and looking at that and transforming that in a very sort of diligent and effortful way. So that's one way that we can have navigated this time, but it's definitely been a challenge, and like I said, some things may have come to an end just because that was what needed to be, but definitely a powerful time this week. And there's a few things I'm wanting to touch base on that are happening over the next couple of days. What I want to point out that happened this morning is that the sun in Scorpio sextiled Saturn, and then the sun trined Neptune. And this day has kind of given us a little bit of relief, because the sun, again, is our light, it's our power, it's our spirit. In Scorpio, we really do have the ability to shine our light in very powerful ways, in very deep ways that are connected to our true desires and our true emotions, because Scorpio is a water sign, so it's driven and motivated by feeling. But these are really deep, passionate feelings, and the ability to kind of like see, like with X-ray vision, into things and really kind of get honest and truthful in its solar expression. So the sun at 16 Scorp has been sextiling Saturn and then trining Neptune right now. And what those two energies are all about is blending that solar power, light shining energy, sextiling, harmonizing with Saturn. This is about effort and work and creating foundation and structure. So there's something about what we've been going through, a lot of this transformative energy, this deeply penetrating Mercury and Scorpio, you know, getting to the bottom of things energy, that now as the Sun and Saturn meet up, we can begin to kind of build towards where we really want to go with all of this insight. And with the Sun trining Neptune in Pisces, its home sign, there's an opportunity here to really also begin to create based on our visions and our dreams, and you know what we want to you know, our ideals. So there's a lot of beautiful energy available right now. I mean, this is also a very creative energy, the Sun trine Neptune in Pisces. And it's also a very dreamy kind of energy, as long as, you know, we really are being honest and truthful. Sun in Scorpio, you know, we can really begin to now express ourselves that in a way that is really guiding us towards what we want to, what we really want to create from a sense of beauty and a sense of like divine harmony. This is also a very loving, compassionate, natured energy, where if we have been having a hard time with things, you know, we can perhaps see things in a light of acceptance and compassion, and in a way that isn't so, you know, some of the more baser Scorpio like energies of feeling vindictive or vengeful or those kinds of things. You know, this could help us to embrace what is more. Now, the big transit that's happening this day, and this is tonight at 7:51 p.m., is that Saturn in Cap is sextiling Neptune. Now, this is the third time these these two energies have connected since, and let me get that date down correctly, since January of 2019, this year. On the 31st of January, they aligned in this manner, and then they did again on the 18th, excuse me, of June 2019. And now they're doing it one last time here on Friday, November 8th. So this is sort of the completion of the three times that these two planets have come into contact with one another. And going back to Saturn, all about creating foundation and creating structure in our lives. And in Saturn and Capricorn, really, you know, this is about work and effort. I mean, Saturn's very comfortable in Capricorn because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So to have Saturn in Capricorn, you know, it's just very pure hard work energy, creating foundation, creating structure, really kind of hanging in there for the long haul type of energy. With the sextile, the 60 degrees to Neptune, the opportunity energy, the sextile, to Neptune and Pisces, that's our dreams. You know, that's our visions. Neptune is about transcendence, compassion, and humanity. And in Pisces, it's expressed as spirituality, intuition, helpfulness, compassion, charitability, devotion, romance, idealism. And the other thing I'm getting to with this sextile aspect is that this has also helped us get a handle, because Neptune is about transcendence, but it's also about checking out, you know? And so if there's been any issues that we've been dealing with, addictions, that we've been trying to get a handle on, this year has really been helpful for us to really create new foundations around those issues, and to really be able to, you know, get a handle on that, and really move that Neptunian energy in a way that is based more on things that are constructive. That's a Saturnian word for our lives. This is just a really beautiful energy that's been going on, and it culminates today. So I would say that, you know, things that you've kind of got locked in at this point moving forward are probably going to have a really good foundation from which to move forward. You know, there's going to be a foundation built on effort and responsibility and patience and structure, as well as compassion and, you know, spiritual perspectives and a real divine kind of loving energy. So a nice, beautiful energy to kind of be culminating in the midst of all this transformative scorpionic energy that we've been going into. I think that's the last thing I really want to bring up for this video today. I will be back with a full moon video on November 12th, and I'm looking forward to talking with you about that full moon at 19 degrees of Taurus. So I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. If you like my channel, please subscribe. I appreciate it. Take care.